in today's climate where businesses are being either forced to move because of S4HANA or realizing that they want to move because of what the cloud can bring, there's more to add to the mix, let's say. So Stuart, what would your take be on the key components of a move to the cloud?
So some organizations see those two things as one step, but they needn't be taken as one step. You can move ECC to the cloud as a precursor to moving to S4, which I think is quite a sensible option for lots of people. And the more complex your business, the harder that move to S4 becomes. Whereas moving to the cloud with your current SAP system, you can achieve some benefits and also set up a much more, let's say, nimble platform to enable the move to S4 later. And there's a business case of moving to the cloud, and there's a business case to move to S4, and they're quite different things with quite different payback timelines as well.
Jason, in terms of moving applications into the cloud, people are looking for resilience, stability. What have you been seeing in terms of the case for moving to the cloud?
Often people look at the first move to the cloud and they build a business case around that first move, and that maybe is a stepping stone to get them in there. What really excites me is the kind of follow-on benefits that they can realize by being there. Because if you think about AWS, it's a platform of services. So you might be wanting to do things which are actually quite complex, but if they're there as a service, like a turnkey service ready to run, and your environment is actually on their platform, it means that you're starting to build the skills to use that environment. It means that your data is in the right place. And all of a sudden, the art of the possible, it really is down to, am I understanding how I can experiment safely in this new world?
It's quite interesting when you said the new world. In the new world of cloud, I think what a lot of people don't recognize is that there's huge change there also. You're not looking after an on-premise system in the cloud. To get the full benefit of it, you have to embrace it.
It's also that experimentation that Jason just mentioned. There's a few factors there. I mean, traditionally 10, 15 years ago, you may have to go and procure licenses for an analytics platform, buy an appliance to run that. You're talking a year of OPEX and CAPEX procurement spend and then configuration to try and build a BI POC. Whereas with the native kind of tools available on, say, AWS, you have the ability to just stand up a Redshift environment, throw some data at it, see how it performs in a week. And it's open source, and you pay per query, and if it doesn't work, well, it didn't work, and then you go again. If it does work, then you can invest in it, and you're still paying on a cost per query, cost per usage. It requires different architectural thinking around the way you compose your business IT landscape.
I don't know about you, but I'm finding more and more that there often isn't the cast iron business case to move to S4HANA for an organization. And therefore, what we are saying to them is that keep SAP as your system of record, but start using some of the intrinsic goodness of the likes of AWS outside of SAP to run the rest of your business. Is that something that you're also seeing?
If a client comes to us and says, will you do an S4 business case? We usually say no. You're answering the wrong question. You shouldn't be doing a business case so an SAP salesperson can hit his quota. What you should be doing is saying, what's our strategy as a business? What ERP do we need? So we'll help you do a strategic ERP business case, but I'm not starting with the answers S4 and now let's back justify the question. It's the wrong approach.
In that type of environment, cloud could be perceived as more expensive because you've kind of got to get there, you've got to keep it fed and watered, as opposed to people who think, well, I'll just renew all of this hardware again, not realizing that in 5 or 7 years' time when you renew it, that'll probably be so out of date. You have to spend the same again, rather than this sort of incremental steps you can have if you're adopting the cloud correctly.
There's different flavors of cloud, right? We've not even touched on infrastructure as code and the ability and the benefits that brings, because that's another level of thinking about the cloud architecture itself and what you can do with that.
One sort of last area that I've been finding more and more relevant when it comes to the business case, gents, is people who are looking, it's under the heading of sustainability and reducing carbon footprint. Do you see when you're talking to people that they're looking at the move to cloud as a way of reducing that carbon footprint?
I think people come at it from the wrong angle. I did a LinkedIn post a while back, and every comment on there was about reducing power of servers. I missed the point completely. How do you reduce waste? How do you make sure you're recycling? How do you make sure byproducts are being reused? How do you cut down intercompany transfers of stock? How do you make sure your stock's in the right place to reduce your fuel usage? There's so many other business process oriented ESG initiatives you could do.
You're hitting the nail on the head there, Stuart, because when you talk about the logistics side, change is constant, and there are so many companies out there who are working with recent technologies or recent developments to see how far they can take them. So the ability to be flexible and not be tightly coupled in is a big deal.
And it's amazing that we continue to have these conversations with people who are running not just SAP but ERP, who didn't take the time to think about how do you optimize a process and get benefit from it by implementing something like SAP. Thank you for your input, and I look forward to catching up with you on the next session.
Yeah, it was a good conversation. Anytime.
Take care,
Thanks,
guys.
Stuart. Cheers, Ian.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Bye.